Welcome, everybody. Today is our Team Thursday, our podcast series. Today is our episode number 2, and I have today with me Shanshan, Zhang. Shanshan will be joining us as we walk through academic rigor. Shanshan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I joined HudsonWay Immersion School, I think the same year as you, right? In 2014. And I have been a homeroom teacher. I taught kindergarten, then gradually moved up to upper elementary. And I taught nearly 10 years. And last year, took a little bit adventure. I worked in a tech company to support immersion programs around the country. And then I decided, HudsonWay is always my home. So here I am, I'm back.
Great to have you back. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Paula Martinez. I'm the principal for the New York campus. So Shanshan, let's dig into it.
Yeah.
What does rigor mean in an immersion setting?
Yeah, I think, when people hear about rigor, they will think, oh, it means like a more difficult content or like more homework, just more work overall. But it's not like totally mean to us. To us at Hassan Way, rigor means how can we push students to think deeper, right? To think creatively and also critically. That's always something we're striving for. And also, doing all those thinking into languages. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. For sure, that's a lot for students. So we're also wondering, what's immersion for those parents, who are new, who might not recognize the concept, who might not know exactly what it means. Can you explain a little bit of what immersion means?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Actually, I remember when I was in grad school, I was in my education program. When I first heard immersion, I also always have a misconception about immersion is just to learn a language, but have a lot of time to learn a language. However, it started when I really entered this immersion program. I was being an immersion teacher myself, and I realized immersion, language is an aspect of immersion, but it's not whole, right? Immersion, in short, is you learn the core academic subjects through another language. So language is a vehicle, right? Language proficiency is a byproduct. It's like something you will for sure to have along the way, but learning the core subject is the main goal.
Perfect. And can you explain to our audience how does that take place in here in Hudson Way?
Yeah, sure. So in Hudson Way, we have very unique immersion model, which I can tell because I've seen almost 2/3 of Mandarin immersion programs when I was working in the company to support in other programs. A lot of programs they are scheduling immersion target language versus English. Their day is like about 50 and 50. However, based on research, starting from young age, that's not the best efficient way. So in Hudson Way, we start from full immersion, which is in preschool, we start like 90% in the target language. Because, that's the prime age of learning a new language, right? I can tell the benefit because my son, who's a 3-year-old, he just started his journey learning Spanish. We don't speak any Spanish at home. So he started in Spanish this September. He didn't realize, he's learning a new language. And until one day he's telling me, like, mommy, bring me aqua. Mommy, my ganepo, right? And I say, right, yeah. So he's starting to have all those words, and very naturally, then I realized, even though I've been immersion program for so long, it's just starting from my son realize the magic of immersion, full immersion, start from such a young age. It's very powerful. And then gradually, we have 30 minutes of English language arts focusing on, phonological awareness, some basic elements of English language arts because that's what they need to enter be a successful kindergartners. And then in the kindergarten years, they start to have more ELA time, 75 minutes per day. So by that time, our immersion model is 90% to 10. So they are still learning all the core content area in the target language like math, social studies, science, and also target language arts. And when they enter second grade and third grade, we are having math taught in English in alternating weeks. And this is another like unique aspect of our program, right? Our teacher just collaborate so seamlessly to make it happen. They never repeat content. They just review the necessary vocabulary and they just move on. So can you imagine the cognitive workout for the students behind the switching, right? They are constantly adjusting to different language, but they're learning the content is keep going on. So until they reach 4th and 5th grade, they start to have math, science, and the social study in the same model in alternating weeks. And when they enter middle school, that's where they have more English because for their high school preparation, they will have science, math, all in English, but they will still have language arts, 75 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. It really sounds like a rigorous program, mm-hmm. where the students are engaged all the time, but not, like you said, repeating content all the time.
Yes.
Wonderful. So let's continue mm-hmm. with, how do you ensure, rigor and language growth for the student at HudsonWay?
Mm-hmm. So because, our curriculum is fully standard-based, which means all the target language, the language arts, standards, they are paired with the ELA standards. So, for example, past the first unit is personal narrative, right? The ELA teacher, they are learning about sequencing words in first grade. That's what the target language teacher, they are doing the same thing, but they are reading different books, but they are learning the same skills, how to write a personal narrative in sequence. So this is how we ensure the academic rigor across the language. And the second of all, all the classes here, we are designed to have both content objective and also language objectives. So after they have for example, science, 4th grade science, they are learning about energy right now, right? So learning about energy is very interesting. They're going to build a model of kicking the ball using Legos. It's like a robotic arms, and they're going to collect data on, how can you make a ball go far and or near. And through this way, they're also picking up language, right? So they are learning cause and effect. And by the end of the unit, they are going to write their own, research report, explain the cause and effect. So this is our unique way of building language skills, in the rich content. Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So evidence in immersion or research, tell us, readers, how impressive this program can be for students. Can you tell me if it builds smarter brains?
Yeah, of course. Numerous research has proven that, being in an immersion, starting from a young age, and if you continue for certain years, it will not only build a smarter brain because you are always being cognitively challenged when you switch languages. Also, it will bring so much more benefits, like you will have better executive function, right? You know how to plan your project, how to start, how to bring, bigger project into small chunks to be more efficient because you're so used to do it, like when you switch languages. And also, you will have more flexible thinking because, different perspectives from different cultures. So the benefit is just, like numerous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, it's definitely, it's amazing to see how children can switch, between talking to Mandarin and switching to somebody else in a different language.
Right. It's very interesting. I always remember, when I was a classroom teacher, I believe you can recall that experience. We hold a student-led conference for 4th grade and up students because they are so used to speak the target language only to us, right? Target language teachers. However, during the parent-teacher conference, they had to present everything to their parents in English. And while, I was making a comment to a student, like how impressive your progress has been throughout this year and everything, just he didn't realize that I talked to English to him and he speak back to Mandarin to me because they're just so used to the setting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I also remember back in the classroom years, so my students used to think that I didn't speak English.
Yeah, that's like a little
so,
lie. We tell them.
I'll say hi to parents, and they would just stand and look at me like, "Oh, you speak English?" And that's how our teachers work here at HudsonWay, making sure that our students are always immersed in the language. So talking about teachers,
yeah.
How do teachers bring rigor daily to the classrooms? Including everything that we're already doing for the immersion.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So first of all, we train teachers very well. Actually through the whole school, we use a system called COSTA 3 levels of questioning. It's a really wonderful system to push the teachers, remind the teachers to always ask critical questions, like to make students think deeper, right? So the 3 levels, break down is the first level is gather information, right? So it's like a 5W question, like when did it happen? What did who's the characters? So some basic questions. Then gradually, teacher move up a level, right? And it's like analyzing all the information you already get. So it's like, for example, if you're reading a book, right? I'm reading a lot, like who's the character, right? And then the second level is what did the character do? Like, can you retell the story? Like, what did he do? However, our teachers are trained to bring more layers of thinking into the classroom. So usually they will ask the third level question. Always have them to give examples to think critically. For example, if you were the character, if you were in the setting, what would you do and why? Explain like a reason yourself, right? So in this way, it's across the subject. No matter in math, science, literacy, teachers are so used to bring those rich questions to their students to make them think more. And also we design our units very carefully. By each of end of the unit, we have a how we call performance task. Basically, it's usually a project that not only to assess the students if they really know the content of this unit, and to see if they're able to connect to real life, to really apply the things they have learned. For example, the ongoing science unit for first grade right now is about sound and light. The scientific fact about behind this unit is student will be able to understand, what makes sound, like vibration makes sound, right? By the end of the unit, they are going to utilize all the daily objects like rubber band, like cotton balls, like whatever you can think of, to design their own instrument. And they are going to have a concert in the classroom.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to it, right? So you see, in this way, students are constantly, thinking of, what am I learning? It's like metacognition, right? You know what you are,
Yes,
you know what you know, right? And also, through also in science, right? Students, they are now only learning the facts, but they're building models, and they are going to learn how to make arguments, how to think like scientists, how to present like scientists. Those are also very important skills. So again, back to the first grade unit, they are not only going to make their instrument, they are going to write a book, like how to book, to explain how I chose or why I chose those materials. How did I build my instrument? And how can I make it better, make improvements? And they are going to present to the whole class. So as you can see through this performance task, literacy skills has been built, also assessed. Science content, has been built and assessed. Everything comes together. So behind all this is carefully design of our teachers.
Wow, that sounds really intensive.
We have great teachers. Kudos to the teachers.
So, being that we do so much in our day-to-day here, why do we intentionally have a small school?
Yeah, that's a good question because something to do with my upbringing. I grew up in China, so if we have a very large class size. I remember when I was sitting like a 40, 50 students. Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that, right? So you must know the experience of not being ignored, but you didn't have a chance to really talk to your teachers, to your questions not being addressed, right, in a large classroom setting. So here in the U.S. overall, we have smaller classroom size, but still, we believe smaller, like around 10, like less than 15 is the best class size for teachers to really address in each individual student's needs. Other than that, you can, but it's really going to be difficult. So in our school, just for take an example from math class, right? Our students are diagnostic 3 times a year, so we are tracking their data very carefully. So how detailed are those data? As you know, math is not only about solving problems or operations, right? It has many aspects like numbers, operations. Of course, it's very important, but also like math thinking behind it, algebra thinking, and also geometry, measurement. They are all very important aspects of math. So our teacher not only track if a student is on level, above level, or below level, they will also look those data into the different aspects to make personalized learning plan for them. So students are grouped very flexibly in the classroom depending on the content, because it's very natural for a student who can do numbers and operation maybe way above grade level. However, like maybe a little bit below in geometry. So when it comes to the certain content, teachers are moving the grouping very flexibly to make sure they are always being supported and always being challenged. And also when students move to upper grades, depending where they are after carefully assessed, some students, the teacher think they are ready for accelerated track. We're also putting students to the track they need. So that's what I see. This is a lot of benefit from being a small group setting, let alone, the teacher know you really well, right? Because learning, after all, is an art, I would say, right? Teaching and learning is all about interpersonal relationship, right? We have all been in classroom before. We have different kind of teachers. Think about the lesson, the subject you learn very well. You must have a favorite teacher from that lesson, right? Yeah. So this is how our teacher doing in their own classroom. They not only make sure they deliver the most rigorous content to the students, but also social emotional needs is also a very big part in our school. Because we have this small classroom setting, teachers can always address each student.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to see how excited the students are to come into the school. Like I here in New York open the door every morning, and it's like just a whole bunch of students coming in, and I hear from the parents, hey, they're happy to come into school. We're happy about that. And that's because we get that, because our students are able to build those relationships with the teachers.
Yeah.
And to really have a joyful experience during the day school. So,
yeah. As a parent, I can tell, because every morning it used to be, very long process to get my little one out of the door. But when he started Spanish program here in September, I see a drastic change. Yeah, when I say it's time for school, he's like, okay, mommy, let's go get on the car. And the other day I was, really, I can, in New Jersey after drop off, I can see him throughout the window. And then he came to the teacher, and the teacher just bent down, and then he gave his teacher a big hug. It means a lot to me. Yeah.
He's so happy.
Let me get on the line.
There we go.
Yeah.
Motion sensor. Thing for technology.
Sorry about that.
So now we're gonna go over, a little more in detail on, some of our parents, as they're learning about immersion, as they're here with us today, or they have some previous knowledge on it, might be thinking, okay, but if I put my child in your program, what does that mean down the road? Are they gonna stay behind English? They still need English, after
of course.
they leave us, they go to different schools. So can you tell us a little bit about how we support this process for our students?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that common myth of immersion that, learning another language will delay English development, which is a total myth that we're, trying to debunk for so many years. Actually, I think if you speak multiple languages, you will have more, appreciation that the aspect bring to you. Actually, language, after all, they're the same, right? They just still have different, syntax, of course, different vocabulary, of course. But behind the language, especially literacy skills, they're the same. For example, our students in three languages, I said before in personal narrative, right? They are just happen to write in different languages, in English, in Spanish, in Mandarin, but they are practicing, how to organize your thoughts, how to put your thinking into paper, how to, sequence the event, how to have a strong beginning, how to have a strong ending. So all those literacy skills is transferable. Actually, our student will not only will not be behind in English, but will be advanced in English. It is because we are practicing the skills through two languages. Actually, they get more practice rather than taking out of their time. Hope it makes sense, right? And also, we have research backup. Here is a longitude research. I can go this on and on.
Research.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the result is defined in upper grade. The student in dual language immersion program will actually outperform their monolingual peers in English, thanks to all the rich language content they have been learning along the way in two languages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. You answered that very well.
Yeah.
At the beginning, yes, parents feel, that uncertainty, but I think for the parents that have been here with us for a long time, they definitely see the benefit and the ripple effect with the English as well.
Yeah.
So how do we here with access both languages? They're learning, same concepts, different, ways in the classroom. How do we make sure that they're staying on track?
Yeah. So I would say we're a data-driven program. So we use some diagnostic tools to assess students in both languages 3 times a year. And based on that data, we will make, as we said before, we will make personalized learning plan for the students. If the student is tested above level, we're keeping challenging the student along the way. And if we find anything that brings some concerns to us, and we have win time, what I need time building throughout the day, for both languages and even for math, students can get what they need from the teachers. And also on top of that, we have standardized tests to benchmark our program, because we not only want to, see, students how we're doing within our program, but also want to see, compare with, other immersion programs, other just monolingual private schools, how we are doing. So we are assessing ERB as a standardized test for English and math once a year. And also for target language, we're assessing Avant, which is used by almost all the immersion schools nationwide to see their proficiency level in target language. So, backed up by those data, we are very confident to see our students, no matter in target language, math, or English, they are outperforming their peers.
Great. And for us here at HWIS, it's amazing to hear when they go to other schools, when they graduate 8th grade and they move on to other schools, how wonderful they're doing in their programs. So also here in HWIS, we have languages. And with languages, there's a lot of different components involved in your culture. So how, what's the role of culture here in the learning language?
Yeah, we have students and the families, they come, and even teachers, right? We are all from different backgrounds. So culture here is being celebrated. So we not only celebrate cultures, like we celebrate Chinese New Year, it's a huge thing in our school, and also Spanish Heritage Month is also very huge. students not only perform, doing some performance to celebrate the culture, but we also going back to academic rigor, right? We always tie those celebration and cultural awareness into our curriculum to find a way to bring more deeper appreciation for the culture. For example, for the past Hispanic Culture Heritage Month, our fourth and fifth Spanish teachers, they did a project of doing some research on certain Spanish-speaking countries like Spain, Chile, and also what other countries? I showed you before. They did a wonderful project. Argentina, yes, right. And they did a research project, and they made very informative poster about it. And also to celebrate Mid-Autumn Moon festivals, the Mandarin class third grade teachers, they wrote a poem about moon, like very, very interesting. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's great to see how we're celebrating and learning cultures, but also how our two different tracks come together to celebrate one and another, creating even more cultural diversity in our school. Thank you, Shanshan. So I think now I would like to know and hear about, a success story. Can you tell me, in your years here, in your experience with, what has been one or two, whichever, that you think, resonate with you?
Okay, so I think it all depends on how we define success, right? So I have several stories to share depending on different definition of success. Of course, in HudsonWay, we want students to be a well-rounded person, right? Not only academically successfully, but also social emotionally, and being a very respectable citizen, especially with the global perspective, right? So the first student was from when I was teaching kindergarten. He was my first year teaching student. Yeah. So I think he started from our school, from preschool, and they have no Chinese background at home, so they don't have any support. So he's been with us from preschool all the way through eighth grade, and he passed the AP exam with high score by eighth, and he got the global seal of biliteracy by eighth grade, and now he moved up to a very prestigious private school with us, and we are very proud of him. Yeah. And another story is also another boy joined us halfway. Very interesting case. He joined us at fifth grade with zero target language, with zero Mandarin. Yeah, it was very challenging at the beginning, but I would say I was so proud of that young man. He just he worked really hard with the teacher support. So now he not only catch up, but by eighth grade he also graduated with very successful academic performance. And then he went up. I think he went up to the one of the special public high school from science. Yeah, very good school. And also another story I want to share. It may not to be with academic, but also how we shape students as a rounded person. I used to have a student who, we all have the student who, needs a lot of support, social, emotionally. So as a school, as a team, I think teacher, when he was very young, we helped him to how to articulate your feelings. Because when he got upset, he didn't know, the young kid didn't know how to express themselves. They didn't know what happened. So what they were doing was screaming, maybe kicking and hitting, right? So, throughout the years, I see how he grew out of that and become a very calm person, very respectable young man. And now he's our student ambassador to, greet all the visitors and introduce our school. So I count that also as a successful story, right? How, how the students grow with us, becoming more and more self-awareness, social, emotionally. So yeah.
Yes, for sure. And we're so proud of all of ours.
Yes.
I mean, we have an amazing group of students here with, and we're always looking for the next ones that might come and also be part of this wonderful community.
Yeah, right. And also, I want to say that, our school is very special. It's Paula, as a principal, I believe you can tell all the students' names, right?
Majority, yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So that is, the magic of a smaller setting is all the admins, they not only the teacher, they know each children, but all the admin, all this manager, they like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. I did have an instance just yesterday speaking with one of our students in third grade. And she said, "Oh, but do you know this person?" I was like, "Yes." And then she said, "But do you know this other person?" I'm like, "Yes, of course." And she just looked at me like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So yes, it's wonderful to be able to be part of a team.
Right. And then when you ask me like the successful story, on top of my head, I feel like to us, the students in HudsonWay feel like they're part of family. They're not only our students and including their family.
Mm.
I remember one parent, used the metaphor like HudsonWay is like a village, right? We are a very connected community. So I feel like students to us is like we see them grow up. I feel like that way, right? Yeah, we see them come along the way, and then we share their success. Very proud of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they also become part of our families.
Yeah.
They get to know, your kids and
Yeah.
everybody along the way.
But
yeah, thank you, Shanshan. I think we have, learned so much in this session. And it's really evident how Hudson Way has a rigorous and joyful program for the students. So it's great to hear, in depth how that happens. Anything else we'd like to add?
Yeah, I think basically we talked about like academic rigor. For sure, this is something we are pushing and also challenge ourselves every year. How can we make already a very rigorous program more rigorous, right? Yeah, but on the other hand, we have complete social emotional curriculum in place. We have very caring teacher and teaching staff. So after all, it's a very, as Paula said, it's a very rigorous but supportive and a joyful thing. I would put it this way.
Great. Well, thank you, Shanshan, for joining us for our second episode. And thank you, all of you, for joining us as well. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you.